It's a 200-year plan, and the Black Business School is part of that plan. We plan to be here for hundreds of years, and I put the Black Business School in my estate plan. So when I die, all the money that I leave, about 80% of it is going to go toward continuing the mission of the Black Business School, which is part of our 50-year plan to make Black people number one in the world in economic and intelligence and financial literacy, things like that. And the big thing about it is that everybody isn't going to quite get there just because there's so many other things, influences out here. But we know that core, those Black folks that are really thinking about the future are going to be way ahead. And we're going to make sure you have all the secrets that rich people have. There's nothing magical about being white. We're going to teach you everything you need to know. So anyway, let me go ahead and jump in and say this. So how many of you noticed what's going on with Bitcoin? How many of you noticed the big decline in Bitcoin that's been happening? Not just Bitcoin though, but really all the cryptos have been getting body slammed lately. I mean, just getting absolutely murdered. And let me go ahead and actually pull up some commentary I read about what's going on to kind of give you an overview. Now, this is from Bloomberg, and I'm going to give you the Bloomberg analysis. Then I'm going to give you the Dr. Boyce breakdown on that, because I think that there's more to this. So anyway, those of you who are online, who are listening online, let me know if you can hear me. Give me a yes to let me know you can hear me. I'm actually looking at this on my phone. And then after about 10 minutes of conversation, we're going to shut down. And if you want to continue and you want to ask me questions directly and be a part of the class, you can go to the blackstockmarketprogram.com. Okay, so here's what it says in Bloomberg. It says Bitcoin erases gain for the year after dropping below 30,000. Bitcoin's tumble amid a broad crypto crackdown from China has pushed it below $30,000 for the first time since January, pulverizing its entire 2021 gain. So all the gains from 2021 gone. All the money you made in Bitcoin this year, if you were a hodler, as they call it, are gone. And it says the original cryptocurrency has lost more than 50% from its mid-April high of almost $65,000. That compares with a gain of about 12% for the S&P 500 since the end of December. The coin started 2021 trading around 29,000 following a fourfold increase in 2020. Quote, any meaningful break from 30,000 is going to make a lot of momentum players throw in the towel, said Matt Malley, chief market strategist for Miller Tabak and Company. Therefore, even if Bitcoin is going to change the world over the long term, it does not mean it cannot fall back into the teens over the short term. Now, let me give you my interpretation of what's going on with this. I tend to agree with that, right? I tend to believe that blockchain is here to stay. I believe I'm a deep believer in Bitcoin. I'm a deep believer that long term, that if you're looking at Bitcoin and crypto as a 5-10 year investment, you're fine. This is just a hiccup, a blip in the road, etc. Now, here's the thing about Bitcoin and crypto, and I want you to pay attention on this. My spidey senses are telling me that this is not a stable market. My spidey senses are telling me, and this comes from just, literally 10, 20, 30,000 hours of studying, markets and how they work and what a good market looks like. Knowing what a good functioning market looks like, it's almost like a man being able to identify a beautiful woman. He may not even be able to tell you why she's beautiful, but he just knows it. He sees her, he instantly knows it. And then there might be another woman where he says, I just don't quite see it there. Or same thing, women can tell. They'll look at a guy and they instantly know within about 2 or 3 minutes if that's the guy they want to get a little closer to, if you know what I mean. And it's not because you consciously know these things. It's because you've been studying that process for a long time. It's part of your subconscious, part of your DNA. So the thing about this market, to me, is that there are scary creatures lurking in the dark in the crypto market that won't be seen until they are seen, right? It's like if you're in a pool and everybody says that I'm wearing designer jeans underneath the water, and that some of those people are naked. Some of those people have nothing. You won't know until the water gets low. Right? Problems, corruption, Ponzi schemes, things like that, they don't reveal themselves until a market completely collapses. That's why, for example, Bernie Madoff, who ran the biggest Ponzi scheme in American history, he didn't get busted until the market started to collapse and everybody started kicking the tires to determine if he actually had the money that he claimed to have. Because I can pretend to be whatever I want to be, but when the rubber meets the road, that's when I got to show you that I actually am what I am and have what I have. Right? Like I could call myself right now. The Olympic trials just happened. I'm a big track and field fan. Shout out to Ronnie Baker, who actually is from Ballard High School in Louisville, where I was actually the captain of the track team. Ronnie Baker just made the Olympic team in the 100-meter dash. Very proud of this young man. And I could sit here and tell you all day, I'm the fastest man in the world. Actually, I'm the fastest sprinter ever. And remember, I've always told you guys how talk is cheap, right? So I can say this all day, every day. And it's fine. It can be true as long as I'm persuasive and I don't actually have to prove it. The problem is when you line me up against Ronnie Baker and Trevon Bromell and all those other guys, and you say, okay, boys, prove it. Prove that you're the fastest man in the world. At that point, you find out that I'm not as fast as I used to be. And even at my fastest, I can't run with those guys. So a lot of this happens in the financial markets. You have a lot of fake it till you make it. You have a lot of entities that when they are not subject to scrutiny, when nobody forces them to put the rubber to the road, when nobody forces them to run the 100-meter dash, they pretend to be something that they're not. One example, how many of y'all remember, what was that thing called? BitConnect. How many of you, give me a guess, how many of you remember BitConnect? And if you are a veteran of BitConnect and you're willing to admit it, say that too. Well, BitConnect was this company that a lot of Black people were very excited about, because everybody was excited about it, because BitConnect was allowing people to put their money in and flip it in a week. They literally could put money in on Tuesday and have double their money on Friday. And everybody told me that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is the big connect, the big hookup for Black people. And everybody said I was the biggest hater in the world because I said, actually, this is a Ponzi scheme. When I looked at the definition of a Ponzi scheme and I looked at the way BitConnect operated, I said, "Oh, this is a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, it's standard. It's textbook, right?" And a lot of people got very upset. I had people that were either, the really extreme, angry people. This is how the internet works. You got some crazy people, right? So they're like, "We hate you. You suck. You don't know what you're talking about." And then I had the people that were more respectful who said, "Look, Doc, I know you mean well, but this is we don't want you to hurt people unintentionally by telling them that." And we want to come on and talk about it, because we work with BitConnect. And I was like, no, I don't want you to talk about it because I know what a Ponzi scheme looks like. And I know when they appear to be doing their job, right? The problem is that you can't always prove that it's a problem until there's a problem, right? It's like if you have a cousin who's a dope dealer and he's making all the money in the family and he's doing really well and his life is really good, it's hard to explain to him the dangers of being a dope dealer until the chickens come home to roost. Until the Mexican cartel rolls up in his mama's driveway and kills everybody in the house, or until the feds pop through the front door and and terrorize his daughter, right, and shoot his dog while they're trying to go through and steal money out of the house, right? Like it's not until the thunderstorm happens that you realize that rain is always a possibility. You just didn't see that risk because you saw the good side of things. So with this market, there are lots of dirty creatures that lurk in the dark that are going to be revealed when this market starts to crash again. I have no doubt in my mind that crypto is going to crash at some point in the near future. I think crypto is going to go through another, what I would consider to be like a long winter, where you're going to have 2 or 3 years, maybe it could be a few months. I hope it doesn't happen at all, right? But you could have some time where you're sitting there and you're feeling stupid because you paid $30,000 for Bitcoin, right? Whatever, right? But long term, it's good. Long term, I think crypto, that market's going to be, it has a good chance to be solid, unless the government succeed in completely eliminating crypto as it is. And some people say that's impossible. I don't think it's impossible. I think anybody who owns the guns can do whatever they want. And China's showing you that. They're giving you a glimpse, in my view, of what can happen when the government just says, look, if you touch this stuff, we're going to lock you up. If you get caught buying it, selling it, whatever, running an exchange, we're going to take you down. And so right now, the reason that your crypto is getting its butt kicked links definitely to China. China's pretty sneaky. China just kind of does a little bit. They're involved in a little bit of everything. They're just a sneaky government. I mean, business operations in China are not what they are in the United States. In China, they don't see property rights the same as they do here. When I was teaching a class in China, they were selling movies on the street corners that you could go see in the theater, like right that day, right? They just don't, they kind of just see things different, or they'll fabricate a whole company and fabricate the financial reports and make you think that it's something that's not. And these things don't get revealed until there's a crisis, until there's a problem. And so with Bitcoin, I'm going to say that this market is one where I think 64,000 was a little bit premature in terms of the price of Bitcoin. A lot of that valuation wasn't really built on much in terms of fundamentals. It, it was really a lot of hype. A lot of it was built on people believing in something because other people believe in it. It was also driven by a lot of institutional support from billionaires that were starting to pour their money into crypto, boosting up the price. When demand goes up and supply remains constant, then the price will go up. That's what's going to happen. So what's happening now is that now that you're having these sort of issues, they call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Now that FUD is starting to kick in, the institutional investors are like, look, I don't want no parts of that. Right now, it doesn't mean they don't believe in Bitcoin. It doesn't mean they're not going to invest a little bit in Bitcoin, but it does mean that they're going to be a little more careful, a little more skeptical. Right? It's almost like if you're about to do business with somebody, and then someone comes up and says, yeah, well, that guy robbed a bank 2 years ago. You may not believe it. You may be like, that probably isn't true. Ted doesn't seem like a guy who will rob a bank. But you might say, I think I can do business with somebody who isn't suspected of robbing a bank, right? So a lot of these fund managers, they don't hate crypto. They see what's there. Because they're greedy. They're fundamentally greedy. They want to make that money if they can. But they're kind of looking at crypto sort of like, okay, I'll dabble in a little bit, but there's real estate over here. I know real estate. The real estate market's been pretty consistent for me. I know stocks. Stocks make sense. There's 100 and something year track record. I can put some money. So I know treasury bills. I know all these other areas, but this crypto thing, this crypto guy just moved into the neighborhood, and I'm still not sure what I can trust and what I can't trust, right? So effectively that FUD, that fear, uncertainty, and doubt is what's killing the price of your crypto. And there's a couple of sources of that. One is China, which has just this horrible interest in destroying crypto. I think China doesn't want Bitcoin. If they could ban Bitcoin everywhere, they would do it right away. China is a country that is very protective of their own currency. That's what it is. They don't really want the renminbi, which is their currency. They don't want their own. They don't want their currency to compete with anything else. They're like, no, 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 no. I'm the man of the house. There's not going to be another man in this house, right? So basically, I remember when I was in China, and I got paid. I kid you not, this is the craziest thing. When I taught my class in China, they paid me a good amount of money at that time, the average annual wage in Shanghai, where I was, which was a big city there, was about $2,500 a year. They paid me $10,000 to teach a class that was 10 days, right? So literally in 10 days, I got the equivalent of 4 years of income of the average Chinese person. And the craziest thing about it was because the Chinese banks were not integrated with the American banks, they couldn't pay me with a check because American banks wouldn't take a check from China, right? But so they paid me in cash. So and the thing was that the Chinese dollar, a Chinese renminbi, is about eight to one with the U.S. dollar at the time. I don't know what it is now. And so basically, they give me this big gigantic bag of money. I swear to God, they gave me this big bag of money to pay me. And I called my dad. My dad was a cop at the time. He's a retired cop now. And my dad was like, he said, I think they're gonna set you up and rob you at the airport. And because I had this big bag of money I had to carry with me everywhere I went in Shanghai. I couldn't leave it in my hotel room because I don't know who's going in my room, right? And I couldn't put it in the bank. So I was like, what do I do? I had to carry in my backpack a big old thousands of dollars. And here's the other thing. Here's the thing that this is where I'm getting. I promise you, this story does have a point. When I went to the airport, and I tried to convert my money. I could not convert my Chinese money when I got home because what would happen is that they would convert it, but they would just charge such a high fee. The fee was insane. I'm talking about like 20 or 30% of my money. It was something ridiculous. And so I said, I'm going to try to convert it here before I go home because I don't want to lose all that money in the transaction costs. Well, at the airport, they would not convert my money. They would not allow me to sell the Chinese currency in exchange for American dollars. What they said is their rule is that you cannot take out more money than you brought in, right? So if you came in and you declared that you had $1,500 with you, You can't come in with 1,500 and leave with 10,000. You are not going to cause the flight of our capital, of our currency, because that reduces the value of Chinese currency. So my point in telling you the story is this. The Chinese have a distinct interest in protecting the value of their currency. That is why they are coming down on Bitcoin. They are using the excuse of environmentalism as the reason that they're coming down on Bitcoin and cracking down on the Bitcoin miners and really undermining the value of your Bitcoin, because I think about 65% of the miners in Bitcoin live in China. And the reason 65% of the miners in Bitcoin live in China, in my view, I say this humbly, I'm not a crypto expert, but I read a lot, is because you have a lot of money laundering that does occur. It does not mean Bitcoin is only used for money laundering, but my God, if I'm a money launderer, I'm using Bitcoin. I'm not going to use Bank of America, right? Bitcoin is great if you're into some sinister stuff, but it doesn't mean everybody that uses Bitcoin is into something sinister. So basically, China is shutting down the crypto miners, not because of the environmentalism. My God, China has never cared about the environment. If you, Alicia and I went to Beijing, we went on a Chinese tour. I told you guys about it. I filmed it, and we were looking at the different entrepreneurs, and they have a strong entrepreneurial culture in China that I want Black people to learn from. The Chinese practice powernomics probably better than anybody in the world. They really, it's almost like they read Dr. Claude Anderson's book, and it's working. That's why they're the economic powerhouse of the planet right now, and they're going to dominate the world in about 50 years. So teach your kids Chinese, because they're going to need to know it. And so when I was in China, Beijing, the air was so bad that we went on a run. You know, I've been doing my run, so I don't get that. And when we went on a run, we could not run because the air was so thick in China, in Beijing. It was ridiculously thick. So the Chinese don't give a damn about the environment. They are not Greenpeace. They're not conservationists. They probably don't even halfway recycle anything. They kind of do, but kind of don't. They don't really care. They care about making money right now. That's where they are as a country. So all this talk about how they're restricting Bitcoin because of the environmental impact is nonsense. They're doing it because they don't want a currency competing with the currency that they have, but also this crypto makes it more difficult. It does legitimately make it more difficult to track down people who are money laundering. Neither one of these reasons should justify the destruction of crypto. I'm just telling you what it is. I'm not advocating what they're doing. I'm saying that that's just what it is. Now, the other piece of that that's really interesting to me that I want you to pay attention to is also the whole linkage between Elon Musk's very strange tweets. I'm gonna go a little conspiracy theory on you with this, but I gotta tell you what's on my mind. I just really think it's awfully strange that China is trying to destroy Bitcoin at the same time Elon Musk suddenly reversed course on Bitcoin. Suddenly at first he's very pro Bitcoin, he's a Bitcoin champion, and then suddenly he just flips. Like suddenly it's like, oh, well, I'm not taking Bitcoin because Bitcoin is bad, Bitcoin's terrible, the environment, blah blah blah. I can't help but I can't disconnect Elon's sort of change of heart with the fact that Elon Musk is making tons of money selling cars in China right now. You don't make tons of money selling cars in China without a very good relationship with the Chinese government. You do not maintain a very good relationship with the Chinese government without being on board with the Chinese government's agenda. The Chinese government is not like the United States government. The U.S. government claims to believe in these silly things, these illusionary concepts like freedom and freedom of expression and freedom of speech. In China, they don't really do that. Now, in the United States, we also have censorship and all that stuff, but at least we're good at pretending, right? So Elon Musk will get on Twitter and he makes fun of the U.S. government authorities. He flips his nose at the Securities and Exchange Commission. He says, oh, they're all stupid, they're all idiots. He doesn't respond to their subpoenas sometimes or in a timely manner, or he undermines their investigations allegedly by not allowing them to inspect his factories and things like that. He's not going to do that in China. He doesn't do that in China because China don't play that. China is like, they're like your mama. They're like, I'm not one of your little friends. Like, I'm not one of your little friends. Like, China will come and take you. They don't care how many billions of dollars you have in the bank. They will come and kidnap you in the middle of the night and take you away where your friends and family don't know where you are and keep you for 6 weeks, interrogating you and asking you how long is it going to take for you to go ahead and sign this check for, write this, pay this $1 billion fine and do what we tell you to do. So the Chinese government is very gangster. They will not allow you to make money in their country unless you are pursuing their agenda. Am I mad about it? Not completely, because I kind of think the Black community, if we behaved that way when it came to businesses coming in our community, we'd have a whole lot more wealth. If we kind of told everybody that if you want to make money from us, you've got to give something back to us, then we'd probably be wealthier that way. There's not a disconnect between the fact that China it has some pretty strong policies and the fact that they're going to become the economic dominant force on the planet. Like, they're passing the United States in every category, every category. So with that said, I think I would kind of look at Elon Musk with the side eye, because I cannot disconnect Elon Musk's strong economic relationship with China with the fact that China is also seeking to undermine crypto. I almost wonder if there's a connect there. The last piece I'll throw in there is this. I read some really interesting information, deep information about some of these stable coins like Tether, and there are a few others out there. And I saw some things that basically said that Tether is one of the most popular stable coins out there. I'm not going to go into what stable coins are and how they work. You can look all that up. But we have a crypto investing masterclass. We have experts in the Black Business School that come through. So if you want to learn more, just feel free to go to cryptoinvestingmasterclass.com. We meet Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. So feel free, cryptoinvestingmasterclass.com. But with Tether, what concerned me about Tether is that Tether and the stable coins, they claim to function like a bank, providing this sort of necessary liquidity in the market that allows you to calibrate your risk a little bit better. Instead of jumping from one crypto to the next, you can jump out of a crypto into a stable coin. And the stable coin, I get this sense that it takes the place of a currency without all the market friction. So almost like putting your money in treasury bills while you wait to decide if you want to put it back into stocks. I get all that. That all makes sense. But the problem with Tether and some of these stable coins that concerns me, again, the danger that lurks in the dark, is I wonder what's going to happen if the market crashes. Will Tether and all these stable coins be able to maintain their strength in the face of a market crash? Why am I concerned? Well, not too long ago, Mark Cuban invested heavily, and he hyped heavily a coin called Titan. And this stable coin, which is supposed to mean that it's stable, went to $60 per coin because everyone loved this coin because Mark Cuban said it was great. So of course it must be true, right? Well, Titan crashed. Titan crashed from $60 to about 25 cents or 50 cents or something like that, less than $1. So if you invested thousands of dollars, then all your money was gone, just disappeared, right? But money doesn't really disappear in these financial markets. It just exchanges hands. So that means somebody made money from this whole pump and dump process. Somebody made money from the fact that this company was allowed to pretend to be something that it wasn't. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's going on in a broad sense. I remember I told you, if I tell you I'm the fastest man in the world and you never test me, then I can be the fastest man in the world forever. It doesn't matter how fast somebody else runs. However fast they run, I can say, oh, I could have done that. I could go fast. He ran 9.8 in the 200 and the 100 meters. Oh, I could run 9.75 or 9.6. I'm so much faster, right? But if you never test me or you never audit me, so to speak, with an independent, unbiased source, then I could be making all that up. Right. And I can't be audited like by my mother. My mother will be like, oh, yeah, my baby, he the fastest baby. He the fastest. He was the fastest one in the whole kindergarten. Right. Yeah. And my mother can't audit me. It has to be an independent auditor who tests me. Right. So similar to banks, Tether and all these stable coins should be forced to undergo a stress test. Right. That's how they test banks to see if banks can handle things when things are tough. Anybody can make money when times are good and times are easy, but are you doing a stress test? Is an independent auditor going to sitting down and going through Tether and all these other stable coins and doing a stress test to determine what's going to happen? Will this coin be able to uphold its promises in the event that things get tough? It's almost like, it reminds me when you get on the airplane. Anybody notice how you get on the airplane and they always ask you, are you willing to assist and let other people off the plane first in the event of an emergency, because you're sitting in the exit row and all y'all say yes? And let's keep it 100. How many of you really, I mean, if you're there with your baby and the plane is going down and you got a choice between either getting you and your baby off first or letting some stranger two seats back get off before you, what are you really going to do? Now, some of y'all would really keep the promise, right? I like to believe everybody will, but you're really never going to know until you get into that state of the world, until you really are in a plane crash. So Tether is, in all these stable coins, they make promises. They're like banks, like, oh, yeah, don't worry, bro. We're backed by the dollar. We're backed by, by gold. We're backed by whatever. It's all good. and they could be saying anything. Why? Well, because Tether, from what I understand, a lot of these stable coins have not undergone an independent audit. And the thing is, and this circles back to the fact that you got to be real skeptical about Chinese companies, because they just kind of they just kind of do business differently in China. Let's just say that. I'm not here to say that they're bad. This ain't no Asian hate, but my lord, they're very good at suppressing information and keeping you on a need to know basis. Now, even with the whole pandemic, they wouldn't let the World Health Organization come in and do a thorough investigation. They don't want them to find out that the virus really came from a lab and that maybe somebody even created it. They're like, no, we got this. We're good. We're good. No, virus it came from bat to monkey to chimpanzee, and then McDonald's employee passed it to somebody at Burger King, and next thing you know, it's all over the world. Like, they'll just tell you a story, and they won't allow you to scrutinize that story by forcing it to connect with actual facts. So I think that with that whole idea applies to crypto. Crypto is a dangerous, dangerous market. Mark my words. Terrible things are going to happen in this market. This does not mean crypto is a bad place to put your money. It just means that it's a dangerous place to put your money, because the regulation isn't there. It's like going into a bad neighborhood where there are no police. When I was in Guyana, Alicia and I went to Guyana. I don't know if y'all remember that, but she got a Fulbright fellowship. Shout out to my wife, because she was the only faculty member in the history of her institution to get a Fulbright. We got to shout out the Black women who are doing amazing things. It ain't just about me. It's about her too. And so we go to Guyana. And one thing that they told us was, they said, if something happens to you, call the State Department, because the police might not be able to get there. Right? You're kind of on your own if you go into certain spaces and stuff like that. Now, maybe some of it was driven by some racism, right? Or whatever. I don't know. But we listened. We were like, okay, we'll call the police. And if the police don't show up, we're calling the Marines or the State Department or whatever. We'll do what we got to do to keep our family safe. And because again, you're an American, you're this so-called rich American, anything can happen to you. You got to be thoughtful about that kind of thing. So my point is to say that with crypto, it's the same way. In the stock market, you have things like the Securities and Exchange Commission that forces companies to reveal all the necessary information that a company must provide in order for you to know that your money's going to be safe. Apple or Walmart, they cannot take your money and just run off with it or lie to you and say, oh, yeah, we're worth trillions of dollars, and really be worth nothing. They can't feed you an illusion. Everything must be validated by independent auditors. A lot of these big crypto whales, these companies like Tether, I think Tether has a valuation of like 50 or 60 billion dollars. My God. They don't have to be audited really by anybody. And a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't answer questions that are necessary for you to know what's going to happen in the case of a storm. So again, I'm going to end on this note. Shout out to one of our students in the class, Ronnie, who was actually in the group New Edition. They had a song I love to reference called "Can You Stand the Rain?" Right? Sunny days, everybody loves them, but tell me, baby, can you stand the rain? That the translation is, you tell me that your bank is solid. You tell me that your stable coin is backed by gold and fiat currency, but can you stand the rain? And the only way I know you can stand the rain is if you get a stress test from an independent auditor that shows me that even in dire economic conditions, you're still going to show up and do what you say you're going to do. That's like an insurance company. I'm paying my policy every month. Are you sure that when the stuff hits the fan and I call you and say my house burned down, you're going to be able to write that check for $250,000? Because a lot of companies, if you don't ask them those hard questions, they'll tell you any lie that they need to tell you. And then when the stuff gets real, they're not there anymore. Okay. So companies are a lot like people. You got people like that. Yeah, I got your back, man. Just ask me. Let me know if you need anything. Right. There's some people that really mean that. Some people that don't. So make sure you know the difference. All right. So anyway, I'm about to shut down and I'm about to answer your questions that you guys submitted for class. I wanted to take this special time to kind of share my perspective on what's happening with crypto. If you want to know what I'm doing with crypto, I'm going to buy a little bit more, actually. I'm going to buy the dip. So if you want to know the conclusion in terms of what I'm doing, I'm going to buy the dip, not deep. I'm not going deep in the dip, but I am going to dip a little bit in the dip. And then kind of wait and see. And also, I'm going to hold most of my crypto for 5 or 10 years, because I believe in this industry long term. I think it's going to be wonderful and beautiful, but the transformations are going to be unforeseen and unprecedented in terms of what is going to happen, because many of these transformations are going to occur in response to whatever tragedy lurks around the corner, because everybody's getting caught up in the frenzy. Okay. So those of you who are listening online, feel free to join us in the blackstockmarketprogram.com. As you hit the thumbs up button and all that stuff on your way out. I'm about to shut down the live portion and answer the student questions. So feel free to join the class if you'd like to participate and talk to us directly. All right, guys. Okay.